Here is your AI briefing for July 31st, 2026, with 12 stories. Story 1. Judge says Trump admin still lacks evidence for Anthropic supply chain risk label. A federal judge ruled the Trump administration failed to show sufficient evidence to label Anthropic a supply chain risk, threatening the legality of a ban on its AI technology. The ruling invalidates the administrative basis for blocking Anthropic's AI tools, forcing the government to restart its evidentiary burden. This legal setback may delay broader regulatory enforcement against specific AI models pending new proof of supply chain vulnerabilities. The government's supply chain panic crumbles under basic evidentiary standards, proving regulatory overreach is easier to launch than it is to defend. Story 2. Google says it fixed more Chrome bugs in June than over the past 2 years, thanks to AI. Google reports June patching outpaced its prior 2-year pace, attributing the faster Chrome bug finding to AI LLM-enabled discovery workflows rather than slower manual triage by developers. The AI models analyze code repositories to identify complex vulnerabilities and performance regressions that human testers frequently miss. This automation allows the engineering team to allocate fewer resources to manual testing and more to feature development. AI found Chrome bugs faster, but it likely buried thousands of minor issues while ignoring the critical ones that actually matter. Story 3. Okta buys AI security startup Permiso. Source says for about $200 million. Okta plans to acquire Permiso for about $200 million to add identity threat detection for AI agents and non-human identities, tightening cloud coverage as enterprises expand agent deployments. The acquisition targets securing machine identities that traditional identity providers cannot monitor, addressing a critical blind spot in enterprise security. Okta pays $200 million for identity hygiene in an era where AI agents are the new attack surface, proving security budgets finally recognize non-human risks. Story 4. Is Google racist? AI applies different rules by race for doctor searches. Researchers tested identical doctor search queries across racial terms and found Google's AI returned systematically different results, suggesting bias in medical information ranking rather than user intent. The study indicates that Google's search algorithm prioritizes certain sources based on racial keywords, potentially limiting access to relevant medical data for minority groups. Google's medical search algorithm quietly enforces racial bias in doctor recommendations, prioritizing skewed data over accurate intent in life-critical queries. Story 5. Gemini Robotics 2 brings whole-body intelligence to robots. DeepMind's Gemini Robotics 2 adds whole-body control that can coordinate multiple robot joints and contact points, reducing task failures and dynamic manipulation compared with earlier Gemini Robotics releases. This unified control model allows robots to adapt their balance and grip simultaneously, enabling more complex physical interactions with unpredictable environments. DeepMind's Gemini Robotics 2 reduces joint coordination failures, turning theoretical whole-body control into measurable reliability gains for dynamic manipulation. Story 6. Forward-deployed engineers are the AI industry's latest talent obsession. A new study says just 2,000 U.S. engineers can deliver meaningful AI ROI, driving enterprises to hire forward-deployed engineers to deploy and scale AI faster than traditional data science teams. These engineers bridge the gap between data science and production by embedding directly within business units to accelerate implementation. This operational shift reduces reliance on siloed analytics teams while increasing overall deployment velocity. Chasing 2,000 mythical ROI geniuses ignores that most AI failures stem from bad data pipelines, not a lack of elite engineers. Story 7. Can Big Tech's 2030 climate goals survive the AI boom? As AI data center demand accelerates, major cloud and hardware firms face rising power and emissions that threaten 2030 targets, forcing faster clean energy procurement and efficiency retrofits versus prior plans. Hyperscalers are securing long-term power purchase agreements for nuclear and renewable sources to meet this demand. This shift diverts significant capital from other innovation projects toward infrastructure scaling. Chasing AI's insatiable power hunger while claiming to save the planet is peak cognitive dissonance. Efficiency retrofits won't offset the megawatt monster. Story 8. Zoox can now charge for rides in its steering wheel-free robot Axis. NHTSA granted Amazon-owned Zoox a temporary exemption to charge for steering wheel-free robotaxi rides, enabling up to 2,500 vehicles per year for 2 years under specific safety terms. The exemption permits full commercial operations without human safety drivers in designated service areas. This milestone validates autonomous safety protocols while establishing a scalable revenue model for the manufacturer. Amazon finally gets to sell rides, but the real story is NHTSA's temporary exemption, a regulatory bandage, not a safety victory. Story 9. Elastic and OpenAI collaborate to bring frontier intelligence to unstructured enterprise data. Elastic expanded its partnership with OpenAI to use OpenAI models inside Elasticsearch, combining governed enterprise retrieval with advanced reasoning for production AI apps, agents, and security observability workflows. The partnership allows enterprises to deploy agents that reason over governed data, directly enhancing security and observability workflows. Elastic and OpenAI aren't building intelligence, they're just wrapping OpenAI's generic reasoning models in Elasticsearch's governance layer for enterprise security workflows. Story 10. AI dramas need actors, so Chinese platforms are turning human faces into stock assets. Chinese AI drama platforms are paying actors to license their faces for reusable digital likenesses, but contracts may leave creators with limited control after distribution across markets. Actors receive upfront licensing fees, but surrender rights to their digital twins, enabling platforms to reuse likenesses indefinitely across global markets without further compensation. This model creates a permanent, low-cost digital labor force, while stripping performers of ongoing revenue streams and control over how their identities are commercialized. Actors trade permanent likeness rights for one-time cash, handing platforms infinite, royalty-free IP while leaving performers with zero leverage against future exploitation. Story 11. Leo Technologies launches Veris Vision AI, transforming correctional cameras into active operational intelligence. Leo Technologies' Veris Vision AI adds agentic video intelligence to existing U.S. correctional camera systems to detect developing risks earlier and automate operational responses as an active monitoring layer. The system processes legacy camera feeds to identify violent disturbances and automatically lock down cell blocks before human guards can react. This real-time automation significantly reduces response latency for correctional staff while minimizing physical injury risks for both inmates and employees. Policing the police with AI. Leo sells automation to prisons, handing operators more surveillance power under the guise of safety without addressing systemic oversight failures. Story 12. A fundamental flaw leaves LLMs strikingly vulnerable to attack. Researchers at the International Conference on Machine Learning this month argue a core LLM design flaw prevents full security, exposing models to repeatable attacks and forcing safety practices beyond patching. The flaw stems from the autoregressive nature of token prediction, which allows attackers to manipulate intermediate states without altering the final output structure. Admitting LLM security is fundamentally broken is not a patch. It's a confession that the black box is a liability, not a feature. That is the briefing for today.